Salawat. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah, the most kind, the most merciful. All praise be to Allah, who has blessed us with Hassan and the Majlis of Hassan, so that we may come to life. Our most heartfelt condolences to the Prophet and his family for the unimaginable oppressions they fought bravely in these months. First, I would like to invite Brother Jafar Ali to honor our Majlis with the recitation of Quran. Salawat.
I'll be reciting the Holy Quran by the verse of Surah Al-Bayyinah. Please recite aloud salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة رسول من الله يتلو صحفا مطهرة فيها كتب قيمة وما تفرق الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينة وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء وما ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
Jazakallah for your recitation, brother. May Allah grant us the ability to act on the Quran as Hussain did. On the day of Ashura, Imam Hussain told his companions, "Be patient, you noble ones. Death is only a bridge which takes you from misery and loss to vast paradise and external grace." I would like to invite Brother Musa for his salam. Salawat.
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اے باد صبا جا کے یہ امو کو بتانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ اے باد صبا جا کے یہ امو کو بتانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ اس چھوٹے سے سن میں یہ وہ ستم میں نے اٹھائے اللہ کسی کو نہ یتیم ایسا بنائے خود اپنی لہو میں کوئی بچی نہ نہائے میں تم کو بلاتی رہی تم بھی تو نہ آئے میں بن گئی بادس لعینوں کا نشانہ پیاسی ہے سکینہ گھر لوٹ کے جاتے ہیں ہر ایک شام پرندے قسمت میں لکھے ہے میری زندہ کے اندھیرے کب تک میں جیوں گی یوں ہی اشکوں کے سہارے لگتا ہے کہ مر جاؤں گی اب دور وطن سے ہوگا نہ میسر مجھے گھر لوٹ کے جانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ جس روز سے اصغر کو ملا بابا کا سینہ اس روز سے امو نہیں سو پائی سکینہ اس حال میں جاؤں گی میں کس طرح مدینہ آ جائے مجھے موت سے کس کام کا جینا جاگی ہوں بہت آ کے چچا مجھ کو سلانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ پانی کی طلب مجھ کو کھلاتی رہی تو کر کہتا تلئی دوں گا میں فوجوں کو پلا کر جب شمر لائی کر چکا سیراب یہ لشکر دکھلا کے مجھے پھینک دیا پانی زمین پر تب سمجھی میں کیا ہوتا ہے امید دلانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ اے باد صبا جا کے یہ امو کو بتانا پیاسی ہے سکینہ صلوات
Salawat. Jazakallah brother Musa for the salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "There is none who recites poetry about Hussain and weeps and makes other weeps by mean of it, except that Allah makes paradise incumbent upon him and forgives his sins." I would now like to invite brother Khamsa. Salawat.
صلوات جب ہواؤں میں نمی محسوس کی عباس نے سانس اپنی احتیاطاً روک لی عباس نے موج کو سر سر اٹھا کر دیکھتی ہی رہ گئی موج کو سر سر اٹھا کر دیکھتی ہی رہ گئی اتنی اونچائی پہ رکھ دی تشنگی عباس نے جب ہواؤں میں نمی محسوس کی عباس نے صلوات
Salawat. Jazakallah for the salam. On the day of Ashura, Salawat. On the day of Ashura, Imam Hussain alayhi salam has said, "By God, I will never surrender to my enemies like a humiliated person, and never pledge allegiance to them like a slave." I would now like to invite brother Hassan Hussain Jafri for a speech. Salawat.
Bismillah. 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 Ya Ali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All the praises belong to Allah, the Lord of the universe. The best greetings go to Prophet Muhammad, his pure household, and all the prophets and righteous servants of Allah. My respected elders and friends, Assalamu alaikum. Imam Ali al-Islam, after consulting his brother Aqil, married with Fatima Kalabia, who was a great woman from a brave tribe. Later on, she became the famous of al-Banin because Allah gave her 4 courageous sons who all received martyrdom in Karbala. Hazrat Abbas was the eldest of them. From this practice of Imam Ali al-Islam, we learn the importance of consulting with the elders in important matters. Hazrat Abbas al-Islam was born on the 4th of Shaban in 26 AH. The name Abbas means the invincible lion, and his famous titles are Abul Fazl, the father of Fazl, Qamar Bani Hashim, the bright moon of Bani Hashim, Bab al-Hawaj, the gateway to needs, Suqqa, the water bearer, Al-Ambardar, the carrier of Imam Hussain al-Islam, Al-Faris, the famous horse rider, and Al-Shuja, the matchless brave. Hazrat Abbas al-Islam lived 14 years with his father. Imam Ali al-Islam spent 24 years with Imam Hassan. Hazrat Abbas is considered an example and role model in many sublime virtues. I'm sharing a few of these excellent traits. Number 1, intellect and deep knowledge. Back to his childhood, one day, little Abbas was sitting in the lap of his father, Imam Ali al-Islam. Imam Ali asked him to say 1. Abbas said that. Then Imam Ali al-Islam asked him to say 2. Little Abbas replied, "O father, the tongue which has uttered 1 cannot say 2. Listening to this answer, Imam Ali al-Islam kissed, hugged, and felt proud of his son Abbas. This is a clear example of Hazrat Abbas's deep understanding of the oneness of God, even in his infancy. Later on, Abbas became a prominent scholar and a great jurist, and her 6th Imam, Hazrat Jafar Sadiq al-Islam, paid tribute to him by saying, "Our beloved Uncle Abbas was a deep, insightful person. He possessed rock-solid faith and belief." Number 2, bravery. After Imam Hussain al-Islam, Hazrat Abbas was considered the bravest person of Bani Hashim. He proved his valor in the Battle of Siffin when he was only 12 years old. He knocked down one of the deadliest commander of the Syrian army after killing 7 fearsome sons of him. In Karbala, Imam Hussain al-Islam, for the sake of Islam, did not allow him to fight, rather sent him to bring water for the thirsty children. Loyalty. The loyalty of Hazrat Abbas with his brother Imam Hussain al-Islam has been and will an example forever. It is famous that on the day of Ashura, Shimr came closer to the camp of Imam Hussain and offered safe conduct from Ibn Ziyad, the governor of Kufa, to Hazrat Abbas and his brothers. Abbas al-Islam not only refused to accept it, but condemned Shimr Malun by saying, "May Allah curse you and your safe conduct. You are offering safety to me, but not to the son of the messenger of Allah." The brothers of Hazrat Abbas also replied in the similar way. 4,000 guards were deployed on the river of Furat to prevent water supply to the tent of Imam Hussain al-Islam. But when Hazrat Abbas went to bring some water for the desperately thirsty and dying children, he dispersed all of them in one attack and reached safely to the water. According to history, he himself was extremely thirsty, but did not drink even a single drop of water, because his beloved Sakina and other children of Imam Hussain were thirsty. While Abbas al-Islam was carrying the water for the children, the army attacked him from all sides, but still failed to stop him. Eventually, they ambushed for him and deceitfully cut both of his arms, then struck on his head. And after that, the lion of Ali and the last hope of Bibi Zainab, Abbas, fell off the horse and received martyrdom. Imam Hussain lamented for him, "O brother Abbas, your martyrdom has broken my back. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un." Peace and blessings of Allah be upon Imam Hussain al-Islam, his children, family members, and companions. Wassalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Jazakallah for the valuable reminder, brother, and may we all benefit from the reminders given to us today. I would now like to invite Brother Abbas, Musa, Irtaza, and Basil for their marsiya. Salawat.
خوشنود امام زمانہ بآواز بلند صلوات.
جب لوٹ کے کربلا سے اسیر ستم چلے، جب لوٹ کے کربلا سے اسیر ستم چلے، سجاد سر برہنا بدرد و علم چلے، روتے سروں کو پیٹتے پابند غم چلے، زینب نے لاشش ایسے کہا بھائی ہم چلے، زینب نے لاشش ایسے کہا بھائی ہم چلے، مرنے سے آپ کے میں یہ ایزا اٹھاتی ہوں، دربار میں یزید کے سر ننگ جاتی ہوں، دربار میں یزید کے سر ننگ جاتی ہوں، ہائے ہائے میرے مسافر کرب و بلا حسین، ہائے ہائے میرے غریب میرے مالکا حسین، ہائے ہائے تجھے نہ پانی کا قطرہ ملا حسین، ہائے ہائے تمام تن تیرا ٹکڑے ہوا حسین، ہائے ہائے تمام تن تیرا ٹکڑے ہوا حسین، پیاسے گلے پہ خنجرے بیداد چل گیا، ہائے ہائے تڑپ تڑپ کے تیرا دم نکل گیا، ہائے ہائے تڑپ تڑپ کے تیرا دم نکل گیا، لینے نوا علی کی بذات تجھے ملی، اے کربلا خدا کی امانت تجھے ملی، اے خاک میری ماں کی ریاضت تجھے ملی، لے اے زمین شم امامت تجھے ملی، لے اے زمین شم امامت تجھے ملی، دامن تیرا برا میری کھیتی اجڑ گئی، سرحد میں تیری بائی سے زینب بچھڑ گئی، سرحد میں تیری بھائی سے زینب بچھڑ گئی، یہ کہہ کے سر کو پیٹ کے روئی وہ دل جالی، آ کر نجف سے حال میرا دیکھو یا علی، گردن رسن میں آپ کی بیٹی کی ہے باندھی، کہتے یہ ماریا سے وہ باچش میں تر چالی، کہتے یہ ماریا سے وہ باچش میں تر چالی، ہائے ہائے میں کربلائے مولا میں لوٹ گئی، پردیس میں آ کے برادر سے چھٹ گئی، پردیس میں آ کے برادر سے چھٹ گئی، مہماں بلا کے ہم سے داغا کی لئینوں نے کیا کیا نہ ہم پہ جور و جفا کی لئینوں نے کچھ بھی ذرا نہ شرم و حیا کی لئینوں نے گردن جفا سے شہ کی جدا کی لئینوں نے گردن جفا سے شہ کی جدا کی لئینوں نے خیمے جلا کے اہل ستم شاد ہو گئے ہم کربلا میں آن کے برباد ہو گئے خیمے جلا کے اہل ستم شاد ہو گئے ہم کربلا میں آن کے برباد ہو گئے جب لوٹ کے کربلا سے صلوات
Salawat. Jazakallah for the Marsiya brothers. May Allah reward all the reciters and all the listeners, and make us strong, and make us among those whom the Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, surely Allah has chosen for us followers, who assist us and are happy at our happiness, and are sad in our sadness. Just a reminder, at 10:15, there'll be a question and answer for the youths, and that would be it for announcements. And I would now like to invite our Honorable Molana Hassan Mujtaba Rizvi for his speech. Salawat.
نعرے رسالت نعرے رسالت نعرے حیدری 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 وشنود امام زمانہ بآواز بلند صلوات تاجیل امام زمانہ بآواز بلند صلوات
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین وبہ نستعین والصلاة والسلام علی اشرف الانبیاء والمرسلین حبیب قلوبنا و طبیب نفوسنا رحمت للعالمین ابی القاسم محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, who is the most merciful, the most kind, the most generous, the one who is beautiful and the one who likes beauty. And He has given us the same inclinations that you and I would have. There is a verse in the Holy Quran that, when I say the translation, what I mean is it's what we understand. That's not what the Quran is. Quran is in Arabic, our understanding in English or Urdu is not Quran. So it is some sort of understanding that we get from the meaning that we have translated into a language. The actual meaning of the Holy Quran are understood and known on all of the levels of its essence by a Masum, by the Holy Prophet. The rest of us that are as their students, as their slaves, as the ones who are in need of their guidance, we can only hope and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our own shortcomings, our own dirt, our own ugliness doesn't become hijab or barriers in us to get the light that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and the Holy Prophet. The verse says that I've created human beings on my fitrat. And fitrat in Arabic, when they translate into English, they just say nature. Then there is, nature is probably not the right translation, but that's what we translate. And he says that I've created every single human being on that. Okay. Meaning, it's not just for us as Muslims, every single human being is created on the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm just for now translating it as nature. And he says that there is no change in this. La tabdila li khalqillah, there is no change in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, whatever rules, whatever I have fixed, however I have connected the things, there is no change in that. Okay? Meaning there will be no exception to that. You cannot figure anything else other than what I have said. There is nothing else. Okay? Meaning if you start thinking, no, only the Muslims are created on his fitrat and the Christians are not, no. There is every single human being is created on the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a lot of the people, they do not understand that. So, if you were to think the inclinations that you and I have, okay, we are inclined towards comfort. Okay? Everybody's inclined towards comfort. Everybody's inclined towards security. Right? Everybody's inclined towards happiness. And we are inclined towards power, strength. Right? We're inclined towards ourselves as well, but also others that are generous. You know, we would like to be generous. We're inclined towards that. And others that are generous, we're also inclined towards those individuals. We're inclined towards mercy. Right? Rahman and Rahim are from that root word of Rahamim, which in Arabic means or indicates on an emotion which gets a human being will get when they see someone else who cannot do something on their own. So when you see a blind person wanting to cross the road, that feeling you get to help is that raham. Is that what we translate as mercy? You want to go and help this individual. Or if there is a person who can't stand, you want to go and help that person to stand up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Rahman is because He's independent in existence. There's nothing that He cannot do, that He requires help of someone. Right? So that sort of emotion that you feel when you see someone can't do anything on their own, you want to help, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps the creations because they're mumkin al-wujud. They are completely, utterly dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you were to now look at the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which have become famous, right? We made these names famous. There are 1,000 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Dua Joshni Kabir. And then he says that my names are so many that if you were to take the ink and make the oceans as ink and take the trees as the pen and start writing, my names will not finish. In reality, every single creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a projection of a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how many things has He created? Infinite. Right? I'll just give you this as an imagery. When you're looking at that telescope, the Webb telescope, where they have taken the picture of the whole universe, right, with 240 or 280 billion galaxies, and the planets and the stars are uncountable. Like each one of those sort of cluster of light represents a galaxy. And in the galaxy, God knows how many planets and stars we have. Just look at that, and then you'll, no matter how great they will project it to be, all of those things are the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? It's a projection of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, this sort of inclination that we have of His nature, of His, the things that He likes and the things that He dislikes. So far, okay? And today I didn't want to explain fitrat, but we came up with the word, so I'm just going a little bit on it, okay? Maybe I'll wrap it up and then move forward is, whatever Imam Ali alayhi salam likes,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And whatever he hates, if you were to become pure, if you were to become pure, and the more towards purity you go, you will like the same things that Imam Ali likes, and you will hate the same things that Imam Ali hates. So they say that, our great scholars, they say that these 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are actually the qualities of a perfect human being. That these qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the qualities of a perfect human being, insani kamil, that we have Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and the Holy Prophet. So when we make them as our role model, and you have this sort of purity, then you will be inclined towards the same qualities. And you will also repel from the same things that they repelled from. Okay? So now, to be able to build that, there are 3 steps, you can say. We can go through it. There is one thing called God consciousness. Okay. The other step would be godly actions. And the third step would be godly qualities. Okay. So these sort of 3 steps, if you were to go through it, you will achieve the success that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has intended for us. Okay. So God consciousness, what it means is that you are aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every single moment of your life. You're conscious about Him. I mentioned to you yesterday that you have to be conscious that He's seeing you. You have to be conscious that He's hearing you. You have to be conscious that you are dependent on Him. Right? You have to be conscious that these thoughts are not in empty space. If you are in space, in a room, you have to be conscious that He's there. Okay? So for that, you have to build that with practice. Okay? So when you look at something, say to yourself, the minimum is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing that. Right? He's all seeing, He's all knowledgeable. For your own self to get to that level of consciousness where you're aware about Him in every single moment of your life, you start this as a practice. They say, okay, you're looking at Hassan, he's also looking at Hassan. You're hearing Hassan, he's also hearing Hassan. What I'm understanding by the speech of Hassan is also is in front of him my understanding. Yeah. And if I was to, for example, like, I'm not saying that you pay attention, but if you were to pay attention, right, You have to be aware that this is what is required. As a student, as a person who wants to learn, attention and focus and humility is our requirement. That He has said that you have to become, you have to do, right? So if you expand on that, every single moment of your life, you will become aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Once you become aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the second step comes to perform godly actions. So can you create? You cannot create the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates, but can you make something? Can you build something? You can. Right? He forgives. You cannot forgive like Him, but can you forgive? Yes. He is generous. Can you be as generous as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. But can you be generous? Yes. Right? So you have to start performing then godly actions. So bad words coming out of the mouth of a person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a godly action. You know, our youths, they think that by swearing or by if they were to swear, it's okay. It's like a natural thing that the society you live in. No. It's not a godly action. For a godly person, this is not a godly action. We think we can shout and scream out of the top of our lungs and, you know, be angry at someone like that. That's not from a godly person. Even when Hazrat Musa and Hazrat Harun alayhi salam, they went towards, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them to go towards Fir'aun, towards the Pharaoh. He said to them, he has gone, he's transgressed, he's broken the had or the boundaries that I have placed, he's broken those boundaries. Right? But when you go and tell him, when you go and talk to him in a very soft and polite manner. Right? No shouting and screaming. In a nice, polite manner. Who is he telling? To Kalimullah, you know, someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to. His Ulul Azam Pegambar, his Ulul Azam is great, you know, prophet, and his Wasi. They're both Masoom. He's telling them to go to a Pharaoh who's saying, Ana Rabbakumul A'la, I'm your greatest of lords. But when you speak to that person, you have to speak it softly. So a godly person would perform godly actions. And once you start performing godly actions, what happens is, in your heart, in your mind, in your inner state, there's a condition that comes. In Urdu we call it halat. There's a state that comes. Okay? And if you keep performing those godly actions, this state will continuously come, and it will change into malaka, which in English, if you were to say a habit, it's actually not the right word, but I can use it perhaps and not go into explanation of malaka. Malaka, basically what it means is when you have control, and such control that you do not need to be conscious about that control. Expertise can be said, but expertise still requires some conscious sort of effort, right? Instinct you can also call, but instinct relates more of the programming already inside of us, okay, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Maybe an example would be when you drive the car, initially you are conscious about driving the car. So our new drivers are driving like this, and they're, you know, making the turns, they're using both hands, and when they have to stop, they'll stop way before the stoplight. And then if they keep performing that action of driving, it becomes their second nature, meaning they are not putting any conscious effort onto it. They can talk, you know, with another person, they can think of something else, and God forbid if they're on their phone, right? But they can perform that action as a second nature. They don't have to be conscious about it. Constant rational thinking they don't have to do. Okay? So if you were to take malaka as to be able to perform an action to the point where it becomes your second nature, that you will perform it every single time without any sort of conscious, I want to do it or I don't want to do it. I want to do it but I don't want to do it. right? You'll just do it. So, in that sense, if someone has become, generosity has become their malaka, right? If their malaka is generosity, somebody asks them, give me $100. They're not going to be, should I give or not? You know, is it a good cause? You know, they're not going to be thinking that. $100, there you go. If the opportunity comes for them to lie or to say the truth, they're not going to be like, oh, should I lie or should I say the truth? They will say the truth. Okay. If mercy becomes their malaka, then if there is a person who cannot do something on their own, they're not going to think, should I help that person or should I not help that person? They'll do it. Okay. So, this state where you are performing the actions, they are creating this state inside of you, which by repetition of those actions, convert that where you have complete control over that action. And you don't have this, should I do it or should I not do it? Should I do it or should I not? No. If you're in that process, should I pray namaz or not? For example, I mean, namaz is good and all, but should I pray or not? That means that this action you haven't repeated enough for it to become a malaka. If you had performed it enough, then you would not be having this sort of battle inside of you, should I wake up or should I not wake up for Fajr? You get me? So if a lot of the things are still in that process, what we need to do is keep on repeating. Keep on repeating. Then, when these things, they become malaka, you have total control over it, becomes your second nature, it just becomes like you are, right? They turn into godly qualities. Then that third stage is that it is a quality now. Right? This quality is going to stay with you. Okay? So, God consciousness, you understand God? You explained God consciousness, godly actions, and then godly qualities. So if you were to take these three things, okay, these are the three things that a Masoom, or the Holy Prophet Ahlul Bayt had done it. So therefore they are now the projections of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Matlab, qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So, if you get to that point, now when you start looking at the world, it's not going to deceive you. With me? Remember the last 2 hours? Last 2 hours, right? This is the third? Or this is the third? It's the third hour. For the last 2 hours, we're talking about dream world and reality. And we said that religion gives you those sight that you can actually see reality and get out of the dream world. Right? I was having a conversation with Molana and he was talking about what we are talking about, and he used the word virtual world. Okay. So instead of dream world, he used the word virtual world, which is actually maybe perhaps more palatable for us than the dream world. Okay. We create a virtual world, right? You have a program, you have a software, virtual reality, you guys are all familiar with it, right? So in the virtual reality, and they're going to the point where it will come one day in the future where you're just going to be lying on a bed and your consciousness is going to be in that virtual world and you will be performing every single thing that you have wanted to in that virtual world. And all you will be is just on the bed. And they're actually pushing for that. Okay? That, what they're pushing for and what is actually going to become reality perhaps for us in our own lives, we are already doing that. Imam Ali said that people are asleep. In that sleep of ours, we have created a virtual world. In this virtual world, we have decided whatever, not what is real, but whatever. And our five senses, they work out such that if you are in virtual reality, you will not know at a point the difference between the real world and the virtual world. Especially the kids, if you have, you have played that sort of virtual reality games, or there are, rides that you can take, or your brain knows that, okay, this is just what I'm looking at. It's not real. I'm not on a roller coaster. But your you will have physiological changes in your body, as if you are on a height, as if you're walking on a beam that is, on top of the tallest building in the world. Your heartbeat would race. You will have sweating, and but your brain is like, okay, this is not real. But the virtual reality makes it look as if it's real, and your brain sends the same information to the rest of your body, where you will have the same physiological reaction or reflexes as if you are on a height. It's very amazing, no? One of the reasons why you can fool your brain that way, because the brain is completely blind. Like we say brain, neurosurgeon is like high, something. We put so much emphasis on IQ and all that. But if you just look at the brain, in itself, it's just blind. It's deaf. Someone book it's that. It's completely dependent on the five senses to collect the information. Right? Because it's completely dependent, whatever information is fed by the five senses, that's how it creates a reality. You send different information, it will create a different reality. Like for us, Imam Hussain, which is actually real. Imam Hussain, his concepts, his sacrifice, Karbala, these are what is actually real. Right? But for that whole idea of azab, some people's virtual world reality of the azab of Imam Hussain is totally different. Of what azab means to them. Their perception is totally different. And then there are other people whose perception is doesn't match. And then because these two virtual worlds do not match, what do? In the name of azab, we start fighting. There's a clash of two worlds. One becomes the enemy, the other becomes the enemy, and we fight. So to finish that, so that a human being is not creating these virtual worlds by the information fed to them. Because you can have a summary. You can have a person who comes in the dress of Molana Sahib, and he can misguide you to the point where you might get to the point where you will become an agnostic or even an atheist. Or he can give you a virtual reality version of Islam that has nothing to do with the Prophet said. And there are individuals who are doing that. Right? Hazrat Musa went for just a few days, and then his days were kind of extended a little bit. He comes down and he had left his representative, Hazrat Harun, and in that time period, of all of the effort that is put in, right? Somebody comes along, makes a sort of like a calf and creates some sounds in it, some sound effect, and the whole of his efforts gone down the drain, and they start worshipping that calf. Right? And if you look at us, Imam Ismail, our Imam, for the last approximately 1200 years, he is behind the clouds. We cannot see him. Dua Nutba feels that pain and says, this pain is so great that I want someone to sit with me, and that we cry on this pain. We cry so much, so much, so much that we become blind. It's so painful. So painful that I see you, but I cannot see my Imam. I can hear you, but I do not hear my Imam. I know where my loved ones are on this earth, but I don't know where Imam is. Right? So to get rid of this, and if you look at 1200 years, those were a few days versus 1200 years. What could have happened to us? How many Samaris, how many magicians, how many tricksters, how many deceptors, how many people who can distort reality have come, have tried, and have failed. Why? Because there's still that version, that reality, right, that the Prophet brought, and the guidance of the rest of the Prophets, and the 250 years of Imam Masum, we still have that saved, where a person, if they wishes, they can tap into it. But we have to make sure that we tap into it. But who's to say that the virtual reality that you've created in the name of the mazhab of Ahlul Bayt is real? How do you know? Right? There is a precedent, there is a place that you can actually find out whether the virtual world that you've created is actually the virtual world that has been given, the actual reality that has been given to us. Okay? That's why I said that Islam is come for us to actually see what is real. Okay? Okay? And Karbala is the awakening of human beings. It awakens you to what is actually real. So God consciousness, godly actions, and godly qualities. Okay. Now up to this point, the deception of the virtual world created by our open enemy, Shaitan. There's a particular conversation that he had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, okay, you are actually now out of my special mercy. He said, okay, I understand, but of all of the worship, this is a conversation like we have it in the traditions as well, and partially we have in the Holy Quran. So he said, okay, for all of the worship that I've done, I need to get something in return. Right? You know what we do too? Like there are individuals sitting, oh, I did this, give me something in return. Right? Shaitan said the same thing. Well, 6,000 years I worship, give me something in return. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make waste of anyone's efforts. He said, okay, I'll give it to you. Now 6,000 years, you have to understand, it was either of that world or of this world, where Imam Ali explains that, okay, if it was of this world, if it was of that world translated into this world 50,000 years, right, would amount to one day there, or 1,000 years would amount to one day there. If it was of this world, then 50,000 multiplied by 6,000, not 6,000, 1 year is 365 days. Right? So 6,000 multiplied by, so I don't know, it's a big number. Yeah, so it's a huge number. If you had savant syndrome, you could probably come up with the right away. Okay? But it's a huge number. And what did he do? He prayed 2 rakat namaz in that. So all of these times standing in ruku, this, that. He said, okay, I want something in return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, what do you want? He said, give me a life. Give me that kind of life, that I exist till the last human being on the face of this earth. Like, I want a long life. I said, okay, granted. So Shaitan has been living from what time? Since Hazrat Adam ﷺ and Hazrat Hawa ﷺ have landed on this earth. He landed with them. Right? Now how long it has been, history, different versions, different timeline, He has attended all of the houses, he's attended all of the universities, he's attended all of the research that we have ever come up with for the last 600 years. He's lived with human beings that are gone. He's seen pharaohs rise and fall. He's seen civilizations rise and fall. Every single knowledge that human beings have ever been able to gain, he has it. He has all of that knowledge, all of that experience. Okay? Now, after having all of this knowledge and after having all of this experience, he has devised a plan. And this plan that he has devised is such a plan that the people who are in that plan do not know that they are in that plan. The virtual world that he has created, the people in that virtual world, they do not know that they are in a virtual world. Because they do not know that they are in that virtual world, how do you think they will get out? They can't. First they have to realize this is a deceptive world. This is a virtual world. This is not real. And then after realizing it's not real, only then they can get out. But if they are in it and they think this is what it is, they never get out. They remain in that. And when they wake up, when they actually get out, when they wake up, when Hazrat Malakul Maut comes, what they find is that instead of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were actually worshipping shaitan. Surah Yasin, the verse you all know this, why I'm saying it in Arabic. Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam an la ta'budu shaitan. Did I not take a promise from you, O progeny of Hazrat Adam that you are not going to be in the worship of shaitan? When we think about worship of shaitan, we think of the Illuminati or the satanic sort of worshippers. No. Person in the virtual world, that reality that shaitan has created, in that virtual world, the person is praying namaz, he is fasting, he's going for hajj, he's doing amar bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, he's going for ziyarat, he's reading Quran, he's giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's doing all of that. All of that. But it's in that virtual world created by shaitan. You think that people who were against Imam Hussain did not pray? Khawarij, that's the example. They didn't pray? They prayed. They prayed more than you and I can ever imagine. All night, all day, zikr, in the sun. They would not even want shade. Be in the sun, sitting, zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who had deceived them? Shaitan. In whose world were they? Shaitans. In their virtual world. Shaitans, they never realized that actually their worship is not of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're actually worshipping shaitan. And then one, Imam Ali said that you need to get rid of all of them. One person shouldn't survive. You have to make sure that they are wiped off on the face of this earth. And some of them that survived, look what they did. It was the same person in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam of the time, in Salah. in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a poisoned sword, with a jump and all of the strength of his weight and of his arm, struck the head of Imam Ali. And these people who were saying, cut the neck of Imam Hussaini so we can pray awwal waqt of what? Asr. You think they were praying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? आपके ख्याल में वो नमाज वो खुदा के सामने पढ़ रहे थे? They were worshipping shaitan. There were huffaz in there. He used Quran to misguide. He uses in that virtual world Quran to misguide you. I mean, the Khawarij got misguided by one verse. There are people here sitting in that virtual world of shaitan thinking, I am an azadar. I'm a matmi. I've done Hajj. I have a dot on my forehead. When they wake up, they'll see it's nothing more that they were in the worship of shaitan. He comes at us with compassion as a good doer. As a good doer, as a compassionate person, wanting the best for you. That's how he came to our mother and father, Hazrat Adam and Havva. Comes in, I want the best for you. You're in this garden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you all of this opportunity to utilize it. He didn't really say don't eat from that tree. Did he? I said, okay, it's good if you do it. It's okay. You think he would stop you from eating from a tree when he's given you the whole garden? So what is this virtual world of shaitan that's coming back? He used a word which in Arabic, when we translate, we call it kidnapping. Like, I'll kidnap people from Sirat al-Mustaqim. This kidnapping is also perhaps not the right translation of this word. Why? Because when you're kidnapped, you realize you've been kidnapped. Yes or no? If somebody comes and you're on a road, or you're sitting in your house, or you're in the marketplace, somebody comes, kidnaps you, you would know. If you know that you've been kidnapped, the kidnappers, you're not going to be good with them. You're not going to worship them. You're going to try to, because they're your enemies. They kidnap you. You will fight. You will struggle. So to explain that word, I can give you an example, and then perhaps this virtual world of shaitan, you can kind of realize that we are in that. So if you recite a salawat and so you've seen a spider, right? You've seen a spider? Okay. If you look at the web that it weaves.
Nare Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Nare Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Nare Risalat. Ya Rasulullah. Nare Risalat. Ya Rasulullah. Nare Haydari.
Ya Aini. So the spider, the web that it makes, the insects, they get stuck in it, right? Like the fly, that's it. What the spider does, it goes and takes everything out of the fly. It takes everything out of the fly. Now the fly still looks like a fly. When you look at the fly, it still looks like a fly. But if you were to touch it, it just crumbles. It crumbles. So what shaitan does, he takes Dua Kumel and he takes out the essence of dua kunut. Just like that fly. So whatever was inside, the spider has taken it out. Now it looks like a fly. Nobody denies it's not a fly. But when you touch it, there's nothing in there. The essence of it is gone. There's nothing solid in there. You touch it and it crumbles. He takes Hajj, takes the essence out. Now it looks like Hajj. You're doing the Mina. You're doing all of the responsibilities, Mina, throwing stones at Shaitan, and then doing the Sa'i and the Tawaf and all that, all the responsibilities, But the essence he has taken out. So now it looks like Hajj. People think we are doing Hajj, but it's just like that fly, nothing inside. Same thing he does with the Azaf, Imam Hussain. People are doing Matam, they are doing, Nohas, Marsiya, all of the features, all of the signs of Azah. They're wearing black clothes, they've got, nice posters, and all the aesthetics are there. But he takes the essence out. Recitation of the Quran, same thing. You get it? It is the same thing at that time. These people were praying namaz. It looked like Asr prayers, but the essence of namaz was taken out. Because if there was the essence of namaz, what they were praying, the enemies of Imam Hussain, there was no way that they could do what they did to Ahlul Bayt. No way. Namaz would have held their hands, their tongues, their souls, their minds, their emotions, would not have let them go to do the heinous crime that they committed. If then Salah had essence. Those who had memorized the whole of the Quran, if Quran was not just a shell in their minds, and it had essence, there was no way they would have done this. People performed Hajj. At the time, Imam Hussain gave khutbahs there, speeches, telling what is going to happen. Nobody followed. A few people followed, actually there's a huge number of people that followed, and afterwards they kind of left him. And Imam Hussain did not feel safe in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To protect the sanctity of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had to leave. People in Medina were doing their munajat, they were visiting Masjid Nabawi, the grave of the Holy Prophet. They were in the city of the Holy Prophet. They were doing their salah, they were doing the munajat, their du'as and so forth. Okay? But he took the essence out. When Imam Hussain said, I'm going, hey, Imam Zaman is going, go with them. Instead of going with them, they're advising Imam, don't go. Go with them. Follow him till the end of the world. You get killed or you don't get killed, doesn't matter. The Imam of the time, we left him alone. He had to feel this loneliness, extreme pain of loneliness on the day of Ashur, where he's standing and our the ziyarat that we say, vitral mautur, loneliest of lonely. It wasn't just the fact that Hazrat Abbas was gone, Hazrat Ali Akbar was gone, that he was looking at the mutilated bodies of his friends and his family members. He was feeling alone. It wasn't that. It was like, what has the nation of my grandfather come to? That all of its essence have been taken out. And here is the grandson of the Prophet that gave them the essence of everything, that showed them what reality is. Today they are hungry of his blood. They're thirsty for his blood. That sense of loneliness Imam felt. So if you want to see if you're into the virtual world of shaitan, look at your salah. Look at your namaz. If your namaz is not giving you the strength, then And if it's not giving you the strength to stay away from the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like, Imam Ali would not like, Imam Hussain would not like. I told you, it's these likes and dislikes are actually the likes and dislikes of a perfect human being. Ma'ruf and munkar. If your likes are not the likes of Imam Ali alayhi salam, your prayer is just a shell. It's just like that fly, you touch it, it will go. If it's not keeping you force, or the word in Arabic that we end up using in Urdu as well, we say, to swearing. The reason why we say for swearing that word is that because the meaning of it is something which is useless, without purpose. So if you take the Arabic word, the meaning of the Arabic word, sitting on doing absolutely purposeless things is fuhsh. Wasting your time, being on, just spending, killing time. Salah was supposed to stop you from that. Let me just say this and move forward. Salah was supposed to stop you from being bored. If you feel bored, look at your salah. It's just a shell maybe. Because if your namaz had essence, you would know that this salah that I have recited in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also watching me after the salah. I'm supposed to have strength from it. So what? I can show patience. I can show forbearance. I can be strong. I can have firmness. That I'm consistent. Right? That I don't have weakness. I don't do something for 1 week and stop and do it, don't do it again for another week and so forth. So if a person is steadfast in their life, do you think they would ever get bored? No. When you are steadfast, you have so many things to do. When you're lazy, weak, I don't feel like doing anything. You get bored. So, look at your salah, look at your fasting, look at your hajj, look at your ziyarat, look at your azah. If the azah of Imam Hussain you're doing, and you have the character of the enemies of Imam Hussain, the azah is just a shell. Shaitan has taken the essence of it. And you're in that virtual world. Karbala was supposed to take us out of that. Imam Hussain was supposed to take us out of that. When you do wake up, inshallah, one day you will wake up. One day, perhaps I'll wake up. And that day when I wake up and you wake up, you will see. You will actually see the reality. And when you see the reality, the values and your identity will change. Things that you are putting value to and what you think that you are will completely change. Imam Hussain says about money and so forth, the things that we own. He said that if everything that we own or the wealth of ours is to be remained into this world, then what is the excuse for a person not to be generous? You get it? He said if you're going to leave everything that you own here, all of the money, all of the wealth, everything, you're going to leave it here, then what excuse do we have of not being generous? Meaning, give it away in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you're not going to take it with you. And when you give it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only then you're actually, what? Taking it with you. Now this is the sentence of a person who has actually seen the reality of wealth. Understands the value of what wealth and ownership means. Right? In order for like I wanted to talk to you about value as well. I wanted to talk to you about identity as well. Maybe perhaps tomorrow if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. So today's thing that I mentioned to you, if you were to think about it, and if you were to ponder of the things that I've said to you, you would want to struggle to make sure that you're not stuck in the virtual world created by shaitan, where you're deceived, and then on the day of judgment, if you were to say he deceived me, he's going to say, I had nothing to do with you. When Hazrat Munkar and Nakir alayhim salam, they are going to question us. When they question us, the first question, when they ask, who's your Lord? We will only give the answer of that virtual world that we thought was our world, Lord. It won't be any other answer. A lot of the people on that first question, they are going to be saying shaitan. So after you've said shaitan, can you move forward? Should we ask you the second question, who's your prophet? Should we ask you the third question, who's your imam? Should we ask you the fourth question, what's your book? No. First, all out. The azan of Imam Hussain, the crying of Imam Hussain is supposed to wake us up. When we come into this world, we begin with a language that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to every child. The purpose of language is that you express what is inside of you. So what I've been doing for the last almost 1 hour is to express in English what is inside of me. Okay, in words. So that you take those words, process them, right, and then see what is inside of me. That's the purpose of language. But, it's English, there's Urdu, there's Punjabi, there's Farsi, there's so many languages. But all of the languages' purpose is to express what is inside. Crying is that language that everybody understands. Everybody understands. You don't have to know Chinese, you don't have to know English, you don't have to know Farsi, you don't have to know, Punjabi. If someone is crying, you understand. If a Chinese person is crying, you understand. If a Muslim is crying, you understand. If a kafir is crying, you understand. Crying is that language that projects what is inside, outside, and everybody understands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this to us the day we open our eyes to express ourselves. The first cry of that child is expressing nothing but utter need. Those tears, that cry that a baby does, is the expression of utter need. That I'm completely dependent on you, O my mother. If you do not take care of me, I will perish. And when that baby cries, there is an instinct inside of the mother that wakes up. When she hears the cries of the baby, that instinct wakes up, and that instinct becomes so strong that she will do whatever is in her power to raise and protect that child. And every time this baby will cry and the mother hears it, this instinct kicks in. Before, if she was sleeping 7 hours, 8 hours, as soon as the baby cries, she wakes up. In the middle of the night, she will wake up. She will take care of that child. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us 60 times, 70 times more than our mother. Mother's love is just a projection of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. Right? When the baby cries, the mother helps. This instinct kicks in how? When you cry, right, for Imam Hussain, when your tears come out sincerely, or when you cry in Dua Kumel, or when you cry in any of the other munajat, this language creates, facilitates that environment of help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you were to cry and if you have the tears, it's the biggest weapon you have against shaitan. Dua Kumel says that I don't have any other weapon. The only weapon I have is my crying. If a person cries in the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even the tear is as small as the wing of a mosquito, on the day of judgment, he will be under the shadow where he will be protected from the remorse and regret and the embarrassment on the day of judgment. Imam Hussaine's love, if it is by association to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does that for us. You feel after you hear the message and you cry, after that you feel a sense of peace, as if the world is okay. Let's say if you have someone who's ill, right? You have someone who's ill, and you remember Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam. And as you remember Imam Sajjad, and you remember the time when, because of his illness, he became unconscious. That when he was unconscious, he did not know what is happening. He did not know that Hazrat Ali Akbar's chest had been opened by a spear, broken spear that Imam Hussain had to lift him. He did not know that Hazrat Abbas' arms were cut. He did not know that Hazrat Abbas fell from the horse without any arms on the sand of Karbala. With something stuck in his eye. I don't want to say what it was, but the pain was as if there's a thorn in his eye. That he fell in that condition. He did not know that Hazrat Ali Asghar is also gone. The 6 months baby is gone. He was unconscious. And when he wakes and he sees Imam Hussain in the condition that he was in, he looks at his father and says, "What happened? Why are you in this state? Where is Hazrat Abbas? Where is Ali Akbar?" And Imam Hussain replies, "My son, even Ali Asghar is gone." To find this out while you are unconscious, and then you wake up and all of this is gone. Hazrat Abbas is gone, Hazrat Ali Akbar is gone, Hazrat Ali Asghar is gone. He did not get a chance to look at them. He didn't get a chance to support Imam Hussain. He didn't get a chance to fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That remorse, that regret, that pain of Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam. And now what he has to do is the hardest. In his state that he is in, it's the hardest thing to do. He tries to get up, where's my sword? I want to do something. How can I bear this pain that all of this has happened and I'm still alive? I want to do something. Imam Hussain says, "You will do something. I want you to go back to Medina." Imam said, "You have to go back to Medina." Imam knows that these enemies who have done all of these heinous crimes, He's leaving the daughters of the Prophet with Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. You have to get back to Medina. And when you get back to Medina, you have to make sure that you give my salams to the ones who are going to become true followers of mine. You have to tell them that, when you drink water, you have to think about me. Imam Sajjad, when he would see an animal being slaughtered, he would stop and he would say, okay, did you give water to this animal before? And when people would say, yes, we did, and then Imam would say, my father, his neck was cut and he was thirsty, no one gave water to him. When you think about his hardship, and then you see someone who's ill of yours, you forget, like how dare I worry about the one that I love who's ill, when Imam Sajjad's illness, in all of that weakness, he had to perform those actions that require an extreme amount of strength. In front of his illness, what is the illness of my loved one? Nothing. See, when these tears they come out, they make you realize, okay, this is what the nature of this world is. This is how ugly this world is. This is how bad this world is. This is how arrogant this world is. This is how jealous this world is. This is how deceptive this world is. That this world can do something like this to a man who's Imam Sajjad Zainul Abidin, who's the beauty of all worshippers, was Sayyidul Sajidin, who is the leader of anyone who's ever prostrated. That this world can do this to someone like him. And you cannot be deceived. You wake up, these tears wake you up. Don't go after it. This is what it does. If you go after it, it will do these heinous crimes. If it can do this to Imam Sajjad, what would it do to you? Allah, protect us from the distorted reality created by shaitan. Allah, give us the opportunity to wake us up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make us the friends and followers of the Imam of our time and have his appearance as soon as possible.
शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, कैसे जिएगी तेरे बिन हाय बादर है जान अली अकबर, शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, कैसे जिएगी तेरे बिन हाय मादर है जान अली अकबर, बेटा अली अकबर मादर को पुकारो, गम जरा मादर को चेहरा तो दिखा दो, खाक से उठो मुझको बुला लो, खाक से उठो मुझको बुला लो, आए माह परेशान कहाँ हो मैं दिलबर है जान अली अकबर, शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, शबीर पैगंबर है अली अकबर, कैसे जिएगी तेरे बिन हाय मादर है जान अली अकबर, कह हुई बेटा जिंदा चली माँ, वावेला सुन सारे शहीदों का अल्लाह ने के घर हुआ वीरान, گھر ہوا ویران آؤ میری جان آئے ہو گیا سجاد اکیلا میرا دل بھر ہے جان علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے کیسے جیے گی تیرے بن ہائے مادر ہے جان علی اکبر ماں کا یہ ماتھا تجھے دولہا بناتی واہ ویلا سارے شہیدوں کا اللہ نے گنوایا ہو نہیں پائی آس یہ پوری ہو نہیں پائی آس یہ پوری آئے ایسے گئے آئینہ میں دانس پلٹ کر ہے جان علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر کیسے جیے گی تیرے بن ہائے مادر ہے جان ماہ حسن بستہ سر تیرے پر مجمع یاراں نے لایا ہے مقدر اے میرے پیارے لوگ سنا سے اے میرے پیارے لوگ سنا سے آئے دیکھ لے ماں تیری ہے مجمع میں کھلے سر ہے جان علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر کیسے جیے گی تیرے بن ہائے مادر جان علی اکبر بیٹا علی اکبر مادر کا ہے وعدہ حویلا سوگ مناؤں گی تا عمر تمہارا اب نہ پیوں گی ٹھنڈا میں پانی اب نہ پیوں گی ٹھنڈا میں پانی آئے اپنا میں بیٹھوں گی کبھی سائے میں جا کر ہے جان علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر کیسے جیے گی تیرے بن ہائے مادر ہے جان علی اکبر پوچھ لیا مجھ سے سغران جو تیرا کیسے بتاؤں گی اکبر نہیں آیا روئے گی سغرا تڑپے گی سغرا روئے گی سغرا تڑپے گی سغرا آئے تیرے بنا کیسے جیے گی تیری خواہش ہے جان علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر شبیہ پیمبر ہے علی اکبر کیسے جیے گی تیرے بن ہائے مادر ہے جان علی اکبر یا حسین
آل عمران کہا اور زندان کہاں یہ بہن قید ہوئی تو نہ آیا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی ہم کو پانی نہ ملے تیری خوشبو تو رہے تیرے بازو نہ کٹے چاہے مشکی زاچے دے یہ مگر ہو نہ سکا تیرے بازو ہے جدا مجھ پہ ہے تشنا لبی تو نہ یا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی دھوپ میں ٹوٹا شجر تجھ سے آباد تگر ہے برے نام میرا سر کیا نہیں تجھ کو خبر اے علمدار وفا اس بہن کو باخدا تجھ سے دارستی بری تو نہ یا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی آ گئے شام علم لٹ گئے اہل حرم ریت پر جلتی ہوئی ہو گیا ٹھنڈا علم فرصت دینے کے لیے مجھ سے ملنے کے لیے آ گئے بابا علی تو نہ یا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی کیا کہوں شیر میرے بے ردا ہم کو لیے یہ مسلمان سارے شہر در شہر گئے خلقت کوفہ کبھی خلقت شام کبھی بارہا ہم پہ ہنسی تو نہ یا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی کتنی بے بس تھی بہن اے شہنشاہ وفا نام لے لے کے میرا جب یہ ظالم نے کہا نازتا جس پہ تجھے اب بلاؤ نہ اسے اور میں روتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ یا غازی
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد یوسف یوسف اذان کے لیے آ جائیں یوسف اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ اشہد ان علیا ولی اللہ اشہد ان علیا ولی اللہ حی الصلاۃ حی الصلاۃ حی الفلاح حی الفلاح حی الی خیر العمل حی الی خیر العمل
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Jazakallah. La ilaha illallah.
الله أكبر والله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله اللهم صل